I now appreciate more than ever what this show means. And I don't mean to make too much of it. It's a game show, you know, I understand.
But it's not just a game show.
But it isn't. It's very evocative.
There's something about seeing Pat Sajak spin the wheel that felt like being welcomed into someone's living room. For more than 40 years, he greeted millions with calm assurance, genuine laughter, and that signature sign-off. See you next time. In June 2024, he closed that chapter. And now at 78, he's not fading away, he's stepping forward. Today, let's look beyond the puzzles and prizes and discover where Pat is now, on a live stage, full of energy, and still doing what he's always done best, making people feel at home. In the comments, tell me, what's your first Pat Sajak memory? Before Pat Sajak became the calm heartbeat of Wheel of Fortune, he was just a Chicago kid fascinated by radio. You can almost picture him. Young, eager, and learning how to make people smile through a microphone. He started out reading news, cracking jokes between weather reports, and mastering the art of timing, knowing when to speak and when to let silence say more. Then came Vietnam. Drafted in 1968, Pat became a DJ for Armed Forces Radio in Saigon, keeping soldiers entertained and grounded during some of their darkest days. Once, he even cut off a presidential address by accident, and turned it into a joke so effortlessly that listeners loved him more for it. That blend of poise and humor would become his trademark. When he returned home, local TV gave him his next stage. As a Nashville weatherman, he learned how to stay composed no matter what chaos was swirling behind the scenes. Every broadcast, every ad-lib, every awkward laugh was practice, quietly shaping the host who, years later, would turn spinning letters into an American comfort ritual. When Pat Sajak first took the reins of Wheel of Fortune in 1981, no one could have predicted it would become one of the longest-running game shows in television history. But right from the start, Pat understood something most hosts didn't. People didn't tune in for the prizes, they tuned in for the feeling. He built the show around comfort. The soft smiles between spins, the quick jokes that eased nervous contestants, the small talk that somehow felt like a conversation with a friend. Those weren't scripts, they were instincts. Pat had a gift for making ordinary people feel extraordinary. Across more than 8,000 episodes, he kept that same rhythm, never flashy, never forced, just familiar. Families watched while eating dinner, grandparents solved puzzles with grandkids, and Pat was always right there, steady as ever. When his final episode aired in June 2024, his closing words weren't about fame or money. He simply thanked the viewers for letting him be part of their evenings. That's what made him timeless. He didn't just host a show, he built a nightly ritual that made millions of homes feel a little warmer. When Pat Sajak announced he was leaving Wheel of Fortune, the world took a collective, deep breath. After more than 40 years of keeping the game steady, his goodbye in June 2024 felt like the end of an era. Not just for TV, but for the millions who'd grown up with him. Yet, in true Pat fashion, his farewell wasn't about fanfare, it was about gratitude. Vanna White stood by his side, just as she had since 1982, and together they laughed, reminisced, and showed the same warmth that made them TV's most enduring duo. As the spotlight began to shift to Ryan Seacrest, the new host stepping in to carry the torch, Pat didn't fade into the background. He offered support, encouragement, and even stayed on as a consulting producer to help preserve the spirit of the show. There was no drama, no ego, just respect for the game and the people who loved it. And that's how Pat wanted it. Quiet, professional, and heartfelt. The show would go on, and thanks to him, it would still feel like home. Most people thought retirement meant relaxation for Pat Sajak, maybe golf, travel, and quiet afternoons. But instead of slowing down, he found a brand new stage. Literally. In the summer of 2025, Pat traded television lights for theater lights, starring in Prescription: Murder at the historic Hawaii Theater Center in Honolulu. The play, a sharp, witty thriller that inspired the classic Columbo series, gave him something he hadn't felt in decades: the thrill of live performance. It's not his first time working with longtime friend Joe Moore, a local news anchor and fellow Army veteran. The two have shared the stage before, and their chemistry off-screen translates beautifully to the footlights. Audiences love it. Every night brings laughter, applause, and that same easy connection Pat spent his life perfecting on Wheel. What's so special about this chapter is how natural it feels. He's not chasing a comeback or trying to reinvent himself. He's simply enjoying storytelling back, in real time, no edits, no do-overs. Fans who've seen the show say it's like watching an old friend doing what he loves, just up close. For someone who spent 40 years helping others shine, it's nice to see Pat finally taking a bow of his own. Even after stepping away from television, Pat Sajak hasn't stepped away from purpose. For years, he's quietly served as the chairman of the Board of Trustees at Hillsdale College, a small private school in Michigan known for its focus on classical education and civic values. It's not a flashy position, and that's exactly what appeals to him. Pat's connection to Hillsdale runs deep. He first joined the board decades ago, drawn to the school's emphasis on character, curiosity, and independent thought, all things he's valued throughout his career. While most people remember him for tossing jokes between spins, he's always been a thinker at heart. He's spoken about how broadcasting taught him discipline, how education fuels gratitude, and how curiosity keeps people young. As chairman, he's helped guide the college's long-term vision, offering steady leadership and a touch of humor in the boardroom, just as he did on set. Colleagues describe him as thoughtful, sharp, and refreshingly humble. He doesn't chase headlines or photo ops, he just gets the work done. In many ways, it's the perfect second act, helping shape minds instead of spinning wheels. It shows that Pat's real talent has always been bigger than entertainment. It's connecting, leading, and making people feel seen. Behind all the studio lights and applause, Pat Sajak's proudest title has never been host. It's dad. He's been married to photographer and former model Leslie Brown since 1989, and together they've built a life far away from Hollywood's chaos. While Pat was a constant in America's living rooms, his home life stayed remarkably grounded. No scandals, no tabloid headlines, just a quiet partnership built on humor and balance. Their son, Patrick, became a doctor, something Pat jokes about with his signature wit. Finally, someone useful in the family. And their daughter, Maggie, has followed a more familiar path. Fans know her as a musician, TV correspondent, and occasional Wheel of Fortune guest host. The two share a playful chemistry on screen, and off-screen, she often posts photos that show the real Pat, goofing off on the golf course, teasing her about interviews, or just being a regular dad who still loves a good, bad pun. Now that he's officially retired, family time has taken center stage. No cameras, no countdowns, just dinners, travel, and the joy of being present. You get the sense that after a lifetime of helping others win prizes, Pat's happiest reward was always waiting at home. Even though Pat Sajak officially handed over the hosting duties, Wheel of Fortune still carries his fingerprints on every spin. When he stepped away, he didn't walk out the door completely. He stayed on as a consulting producer, helping guide the show he built for more than 4 decades. It's not about control, it's about care. Pat's mission has always been to keep Wheel what it's always been: simple, genuine, and family-friendly. Behind the scenes, his influence remains in the pacing, the tone, and the atmosphere. Ryan Seacrest may now handle the introductions, but the heart of the show, that comforting rhythm between tension and laughter, still feels distinctly Sajak. That's no accident. Pat's years of fine-tuning made Wheel run like a melody, where every beat mattered and every contestant felt seen. And while he's no longer on camera, fans often say it still feels like Pat. That's because his voice, humor, and warmth became part of the show's DNA. He taught an entire generation of producers and crew members what hospitality looks like on screen. So even if he's miles away from the studio, his quiet presence still spins with every puzzle solved. After 40 years of studio lights and teleprompters, stepping into live theater might sound like a leap, but for Pat Sajak, it's a return to pure performance. In television, there were breaks, retakes, and an entire crew to catch any slip. On stage, there's nothing but the audience and the moment. And that's exactly what excites him. Pat's approach to theater is almost like muscle memory from his broadcasting days. He studies his lines the same way he studied scripts and cues back in his wheel years, with precision and rhythm. But now, there's more freedom. Each show brings a different energy, a different laugh, a different connection. There's no editing, no safety net, and he loves it that way. Friends say he treats the rehearsal process like hosting in real time. Stay alert, stay humble, and make everyone around you look good. He's even joked that after decades of asking contestants to buy a vowel, it's nice to finally speak in complete sentences again. And when opening night hits, that familiar calm returns, the same calm that carried thousands of contestants through their nerves. The stage may have changed, but Pat's secret remains the same. Listen, react, and always make the audience feel like they're part of the story. Ask anyone who's met Pat Sajak what he's really like, and the answer is almost always the same, exactly who you think he is. Offstage, he's as quick-witted and grounded as the man we watched for decades. No celebrity walls, no entourage, just that same neighborly charm that made him America's favorite dinner guest. He's the kind of person who doesn't need to be the funniest one in the room, but somehow always ends up being it anyway. His humor isn't loud, it's sly, perfectly timed. He'll poke fun at himself before anyone else can. And that humility is part of why people trust him. Through his daughter Maggie's social media, fans still get glimpses of the real Pat, cracking jokes on the golf course, photobombing her work events, or pretending to retire again every time someone brings up wheel. He's happy, relaxed, and enjoying the slower rhythm of life. What stands out most is that he's never chased fame for fame's sake. He stayed relevant because he stayed kind. In an industry obsessed with reinvention, Pat Sajak never had to reinvent himself. Being genuine was his brand all along. So what does the next chapter look like for Pat Sajak? If you ask him, probably a little less television and a lot more joy. After decades of cue cards and countdowns, he's savoring life without a script. But that doesn't mean he's slowing down. The success of Prescription Murder has already sparked talk of more stage projects, and Pat seems genuinely energized by the idea. The intimacy of theater suits him. No big cameras, no commercial breaks, just pure connection. He's also continuing his role with Hillsdale College, mentoring young people and quietly giving back in ways that don't make headlines. It's fitting. He's always believed the spotlight belongs to others. Whether it's helping students, supporting local causes, or spending time with family, Pat seems more fulfilled than ever. And of course, through his daughter Maggie's work and his consulting role at Wheel, he's still part of the show's heartbeat, not as the face on the screen, but as the spirit behind it. After a lifetime of helping others win prizes, Pat's biggest reward might just be this season of peace and purpose. He's proven that even when the cameras stop rolling, there's still a lot of life and laughter left to share. Pat Sajak didn't really retire. He just rewrote the script. The wheel stopped spinning, but the story kept going. From broadcast booths to Broadway lights, he's still doing what he's always done best, bringing calm, humor, and humanity wherever he goes. His life now isn't about prizes or puzzles, it's about purpose, laughter, and living on his own terms. So now it's your turn. What's your favorite Pat Sajak memory? Maybe a puzzle your family solved together, or just the comfort of hearing his voice after a long day. Share it below. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll love this one.